Good morning and welcome to X-Carbovore. Welcome to my no drama life. I have no drama in this game right now. Uh, is it boring? Is it sad? I don't know. Let's talk about it more on the inside. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is day 26 of my carnivore journey. I'm happy that you've come. And listen, if you've never been here before, this is your first time, please hit that subscribe button, that like button. I'm trying to hit 50 subscribers by the end of this year. And it'll mean a lot to me, actually, that I know that you're out there checking on me, helping me stay accountable to this carnivore way of eating. Every time I do an episode, which should be every day, I'll be giving you my blood results as far as my glucose, my ketones, and my GKI. I'll also be giving you an update on my blood pressure and my weight. Starting in 2025, I'll be adding on to that my HDL, LDL, my lipids, and triglycerides. So you'll be able to see all of my numbers and understand what it's doing to my body. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to do it to your body, but most likely you'll have similar results. Now, how's my life? How is it with this carnivore diet? Why am I living drama-free? And believe me, it is drama-free. Sometimes it gets a little boring, but I like that. I like that I don't have to think about my food choices. I like that I don't have to wake up and have cravings. When I was on keto, doing just the ketogenic diet where you can have up to 20 net carbs, I craved a lot. On the carnivore, you go as close to zero carbs as possible, and literally the cravings go away. I have a terrible problem with carbohydrates. I'm highly addicted to them. I'll break in a moment. There are things today, to this day, that if I see in the house, not because I crave it, but because I remember the joy. I remember the euphoria. I remember the dopamine rush of getting that certain food. I don't want to have to go through that again. And the only way I could do that is to avoid carbs altogether. So my life is savory. I like that. It's savory. It's not sweet. It's savory. And I'm living the best life possible. I was listening today to a couple of other streamers or content creators on their carnivore journey. And they have, struggles. There's no other way to say it. And I kind of feel bad that I can't sit here and tell you that I'm craving every day. I feel bad that I can't tell you that I've broken. This is 26 days straight. I've not cheated. I can't sit here and tell you that I struggle with Thanksgiving or with holidays, even my birthday. I can't sit here and tell you that because if I don't, now they say be careful of, thinking of yourself higher than others. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. I'm just saying I'm not struggling. I don't have that drama when it comes to eating the carnivore life. It's actually quite simple for me. And I would imagine that it could be simple for some and more difficult for others, depending on your physical makeup. And this isn't about, for me now, it's not about willpower. I would say it's more that I made a decision. I made a choice that I'm going to improve my health. I'm going to live clean. I want to get rid of the pain that was happening in my body. And whatever else comes on the positive with that, thank you, Lord. And that's the other side of it. Now, on the outside, there may be people in my circle of friends, in my church family circle, in my personal family circle, not my wife or my children, but my parents or my siblings, that may consider what I'm doing to be a little bit reckless. How are you only eating animal products, meat, eggs, butter, bacon, beef? I said meat, but I really mean beef. Sometimes pork and fish, but beef mainly. How are you eating that and surviving? Why aren't you, as we were children, your parents used to always say, eat your vegetables. How are you doing that? You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to destroy yourself. Your body needs these nutrients. Well, yes, my body is getting fed. It is being adequately nurtured by my meats. It is. And I'm not living in pain anymore. And so really that's my number one argument. If you can show me a way to eat whatever I want without pain, I most likely would do it, because weight is not my big issue. My wife loves me the way I am. And the bigger I am, the more of me there is to love. And see, that's what I mean about no drama. My wife really wants to be on the carnivore diet, but she's having a hard time right now in transitioning. I try to help her, but I don't push, because this has to be more about you than it is about someone else. So there's no drama. She gets it, I get it. And look, I've been where she is. And it really wasn't until I got these tumors that I actually made a decision for myself to change. So I can't come to you and say, I fell, I did this. My son brought home donuts and I ate one. I'm sorry, that's just not my story. Does it mean it can't happen? I can't say 100% because I never say never. But I will say I'm not craving them. And there have been goodies and what I call kryptonite sitting around this house for a long time. There's no drama. So let's consider my numbers for the day. I woke up this morning and as usual, the first thing I do is weigh. But that will be the last number that you'll see today. The next thing I do is take my blood measurements, my glucose, my ketones, and I calculate my GKI with my app on my phone. After that, I take my blood pressure. Of course, I relax a little bit in between because you're supposed to, relax a little bit. But it always happens about the time that I begin my prayer meetings at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I normally get the blood pressure done after the prayer meeting. And it could be affected depending on what we're praying about, I guess, couldn't it? Nonetheless, that's the first number that we're going to go over today is my blood pressure. My normal blood pressure really isn't normal at all. It's a hypertensive level 3 or grade 3, which puts me around 220 over 110-ish, unfortunately. And that led me to take medication. I took myself off of it after a year or so, back in 2016 or something like that. Ended up getting back on it again in 2018 because during one of my exercise stints, I nearly passed out. Got home, my blood pressure was 220 over 110. And they put me back on the medication and chastised me. Don't you ever take yourself off of that med. Of course, being the brilliant person that I am, I took myself off the med again and did very well for a couple of years. But when I came back here to Sweden, going for my normal blood pressure checkup, my blood pressure was resting easy, 190 over 110, 190 over 100, 200 over 100. And they decided they put me back on medication again at the beginning of this year. 2024. So I did what they asked. And later in March, I believe, they had me do a home monitor test every day and record my blood pressure 3 times a day on the medication. And I think I was somewhere around 140 over 86 or something like that, still above the norm, but they felt comfortable that I was on the medication and I would be fine. And they didn't increase my dosage, which was good. I was on losartan, but okay. In May, I decided I'd take myself off of that medication because I had been doing carnivore for a little while. And I know that during the carnivore journey, I'm going to decrease my blood pressure. And I don't want and I don't like taking medication. And my fear, of course, in taking medications is that you're going to end up taking more and more medication, sometimes medication for the medication. I'm 61, I'll be 62 next month, and I don't expect to be on medications in my old age. I expect to live a healthy life. And part of this journey is for me to challenge myself to get better. So every month I saw my blood pressure. In the beginning, of course, my blood pressure stayed the same because there's a half-life to this blood pressure medication. But after a month, maybe 3 weeks, my blood pressure increased 150 something, on occasion in the 160s. But then slowly it began going down, but never under the 135 over 85. Well, I think about a month back, and we're talking 6 months later, my blood pressure started falling under that 135 over 85. And like I said, no drama. Today, my blood pressure is 121 over 83, and that's without medication. So I think, once again, that's a win for carnivore. My next result is my glucose. Now, like I said, last night I had some bacon, and that bacon it wasn't really bacon. It's called steak flesk, which is not bacon. It's a lot thicker than bacon. It doesn't have any of the additives, actually, but this particular package has 0.5 carbs. I ate the whole pack because I had only eaten half a steak and 3 soft-boiled eggs. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting enough in me, because sometimes one of the sins, if you will, of eating a carnivore life is you don't feel hungry, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't eat. And of course, they say eat when you're hungry. I agree with that. But if you know that you've eaten a lot less than you would normally eat, make sure that you fill up. And I'm normally doing OMAD, but I didn't want to give myself a chance to cheat. And so not to do that, you want to make sure that your body is satisfied. And I knew that if I got a little bacon and I threw some salt on it as it was cooking, and I even fried bacon, not only in its own grease, but I add salted butter because I know that I'm going to need those electrolytes. Anyway, I think it did me in last night. That and maybe a combination of the cream in my coffee, which as of now, no more cream in my coffee. None. I had maybe 3 or 4 cups of coffee yesterday, and I think I was falling in love with the cream. So I put extra cream, and that wasn't a good thing. My glucose went from 5.1, which I like to keep it around 5. It went up to 5.6. It wasn't in the 6 range. It wasn't 6 point something like it was a few days back, but it was 5.6. Now, that's not bad. Of course, it's still good within the normal range, which is wonderful. But this is why I do my numbers daily. Yes, for accountability to you, but also so I can see the effects of what something might have done to me the day before. So, glucose today, day 26, 5.6. Now let's look at my ketones. My ketones were, as of yesterday, 2.6. which had gone down from 2.8 the day prior. Like I said, I like to keep it 2 and above, but a normal range is 0.5 to 1.5. So anywhere in there is optimal, okay? Today, my ketones were 1.7. And no, I'm not happy about it. Yes, it is still in the optimal range. It's higher than the optimal range, but I'd like to be 2 and above. But I believe that all came down to the extra cream and maybe the bacon steak flesh that I had last night. So we won't be doing that again. And that leads me to my GKI, my glucose ketone index, which of course I like to keep that personally in the 3 and below range. And that's because that's my optimal zone for my physical ailments. For example, if you were a type 2 diabetic and you were using the GKI index or the glucose ketone index as a reference for you to cure your type 2 diabetes, you want to be between 3 and 6. 3 and 6. Of course, you're in 3 below, you're fine too, but you want to be 6 and below, or between that 3 and 6 range on your GKI, which is going to help you moderate and even correct your type 2 diabetes. In my case, I have tumors. They're benign. Thank God we had them biopsied earlier this year. But nonetheless, cancer, epilepsy, and other neurological problems, if you have these things, you want to be level 3 and below. And so I try to keep myself at 3 and below, and that's why I measure my ketones and my glucose so that I can get this GKI calculation. Today, my GKI, well, before I say today, the last 2 days, it was perfect, actually, 1.8 and 1.9 respectively. And I was hoping I'd stay in that 1 point something, which is fantastic. But today it shot up to 3.2. 3.2. And we know why. If the glucose is out of whack and the ketone is out of whack, everything is going to be out of whack. So there we have it. GKI, day 26, 3.2. And lastly, let's talk about the weight. Now, yesterday you saw that we broke a plateau, which I thought was great, even though weight's not my primary goal. Back in 2018, when I started eating a low carb way, that was my goal back then. But I took things more seriously when I found of my tumors. And I found that out in 2023, and then started working myself into a solution for that, non-medical. Unless you want to call your food your medicine, that's the way I decided to handle it, through my my diet. And I don't want to really look at it as a diet. It's really a way of living for me, a way of eating, where food is not some sort of celebratory thing. It's not that I eat at a time. It's that I eat when my body desires sustenance, when it desires nutrition, and I eat the things that look most like food to me. Potato chips, what animal do you know that walks around looking like a potato chip? You don't. I mean, you want to see something that looked the closest to its natural source. Even if potato chips come from potatoes, which I could challenge you that on Pringles, for example. I'm going to do a show on Pringles. Maybe that happens tomorrow. I'm not sure. But Pringles is not, it's from a potato dust, or where they plus all these other additives, and then they grind everything together and they make this little, anyway, we'll talk about it during the thing. So it's not real potatoes. It's less than 50% potato in that thing. So what's the rest of it made of? You want food that's looking more like its natural source. An egg, we know, comes from a chicken, one step away. I worry about things like Vienna sausages. what looks like a Vienna sausage? But I know that a steak looks most like a cow. That's one step away. Of course, I'm not out there in the wilderness eating the raw animal. I'm cooking it. Uh, Everything that I'm eating looks like what it's supposed to. Yeah. Um, I can't see where jelly comes from, where mustard comes from, where these sauces come from. I can't see that. And even seed oils, you don't use those things because they're poisonous for your body if you look at the proper human diet. Nonetheless, let me leave that alone and talk about my weight. Today, I've had the problem. I know that we were stalled out for a while at 89.8, 89.9, 90. It just kept going around there. Yesterday, it dropped to 89.3, which was awesome. Today, it is back to 89.5. So maybe just another step of a plateau, but that's fine. The weight loss is not my primary goal for this journey. It's the health. But I thought that you might be interested in seeing what happens even with my weight as a side effect of doing the carnivore diet. Now, look, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, tell a friend, because we're going to be doing these numbers all the time. We're going to be going over these results all the time. And next year, you're going to see more results that I'll be doing, hopefully on a daily measure. And so there you have it. Another no drama day in the life of Kian Anian's carnivore journey. I'm so glad that you joined me for this episode, and I hope you come back again. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Drop me a little note and let me know I'm following you, I'm rooting for you, and I'm praying for your success. Listen, tell a friend. Let someone else know that there's a guy out here like me doing a thing like this. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.